we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we stand, the people of the Kulin Nations, and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging.
Hi there, my name's Melanie Smith and I'm the Executive Director of Performing Arts at Arts Centre Melbourne.
And my name is Edwina Lunn. I'm the Director of Programming at Arts Centre Melbourne. Melanie, we've got some questions to answer here, and I thought I'd start with this one, which is about the impact that COVID-19 has had on the arts, which we both know is huge. But I wondered what you think the long-term impacts will be.
Yes, it's incredibly devastating, and I think whether you are a large or small arts organisation across the country or even the world, we're collectively facing a challenge of recovery like we've not seen previously, and that is particularly in regards to our future sustainability. So it's really clear that the road to recovery is going to be long. It certainly will be many months and perhaps even years before we're able to see the level of activity that we've been so privileged to see on our stages before COVID.
Yeah, I've particularly felt impacted by thinking about all of the lost works of 2020. I don't think when this started we realised how big the impact would be with the number of so many cancelled and stalled shows, thinking that they would have the opportunity to come back. But in fact, there's been so many lost resources, and the loss of momentum means that many of those shows that were cancelled will not resurrect and just won't return.
Yeah, I agree, Edwina. I think also just from a leadership perspective for Arts Centre Melbourne, we've got a responsibility to look after the sector and help this recovery. There's likely to be fewer works coming from overseas, so this will present even more opportunity for our local talent, but we do need to invest in our artists now so they can have time to go through the creative process, to create amazing stories, and to be able to show them on our stages for years to come. In this time, I also think we have really evolved the collaboration and partnership that we have with artists and organisations, and this will be critical to the sector recovery, but also for our own recovery in the longer term as we try to rebuild the sector and what we have to offer as a community. Edwina, another question that we've been asked is around how the Arts Centre will support recovery of the sector and artists and art workers during this time. And I guess specifically, how will the donations that we receive to the recovery appeal help those artists?
So when we thought about what artists needed in the most immediate future of reopening and recovery, we thought about three specific support areas where these gifts will go to. The first one is commissioning or co-commissioning, which is taking forward new and existing commissions that have necessarily stalled through various stages of development and many lost seasons. The second is recommissioning or adaptation. So they're existing works that were works in progress that we're moving into a COVID normal space. So we're asking and looking at how artists and works may need to adapt from live to digital or to create a hybrid experience, adapting works for different participation outcomes for both artists and audiences. So that example of that would be works needing to now be solo experiences or immersive experiences, site-specific works, taking projects outdoors and looking at digital and virtual experiences. And the third way that we wanted to invest in artists and works through this recovery program was creating new content and adapting content for a reopening focus on our outdoor programs for the Sydney Myer Music Bowl. And specifically, this is an offering for the small to medium and independent sector, emerging artists across all genres who would have access to creating new works, new collaborations that would be part of our Summer Bowl program. In terms of dollars and cents, if we can raise $250,000, Arts Centre Melbourne will be able to commission and adapt up to 12 new shows and existing shows that will fill Victoria's stages with all sorts of inspiring performances in 2021. If we can raise up to $450,000, then we'll be able to commission and adapt up to 16 performances right through 2021 and into 2022. It's a pretty impactful, and it really allows us to commission works by some of Victoria's most talented artists and help them cover the cost of reviving their shows that have stalled, and making sure that their works are COVID safe and ready for audiences sooner.
Yeah, it's so fantastic that we can see these plans come to life after so much planning and work's gone into it previously. So I'm really delighted that we can get these projects up and out for the community to see. I think it's also important just letting people know that the funding that we do receive will also help not only pay artist fees and designer fees and sound and lighting fees, but they'll also cover crew fees, any production remount costs because of the COVID delays, final pre-production re-rehearsals, technical and staging costs, and also supporting the adaptation of these works to become hybrid performance, which will integrate into our digital offering. And this is an area that we're going to explore further into the future about how we can reach out further to other audiences that potentially can't come into the venues. So that's actually quite an exciting evolution, I guess, of our industry and how our offer can be extended further out.
So, Melanie, some people who might be watching or listening to this would be wondering why Arts Centre Melbourne specifically needs their support, because aren't we government funded? What would you say to someone who might be thinking that?
Well, we're obviously very grateful to Creative Victoria for the funding that we get, but it does only make up about 20% of our income. So we really rely heavily on other commercial operations such as the revenue box office, car park and food and beverage to generate revenue that then we can reinvest back into new works, commissions. We have an amazing performing arts collection, so access to that. Education and outreach programming into schools, bringing children through the First Call Fund back into the centre to see amazing work, and also removing barriers to access.
Melanie, I'm sure people are dying to hear what our plans are for reopening Arts Centre Melbourne. Are you able to share with us what we could possibly be getting excited about?
We will be reopening in line with government advice, of course, which is very, very focused on safety. They've also focused their attention to outdoor activations, retail and hospitality. The Arts Centre runs the Sydney Mire Music Bowl. It's a fantastic outdoor venue. So we'll initially be focusing our energy over at the bowl. This will be transformed into a COVID-safe venue that will host Live at the Bowl, a summer festival. There'll be approximately 40 activations and performances. There'll be food and beverage activations, family programming, community programming, some big concerts, and it will run from January through to March. So we're very much excited about getting back into the venues and having audiences back with us. It's also expected to create close to 2,000 job opportunities for the sector and our creative industry. So we're delighted to be able to support the sector and people that are behind the scenes working hard back into our venues to provide great community access and I guess joy to be back and enjoy entertainment. Edwina, there's been a question around what types of shows that we'll be showing and how can people find out about them. Are you able to give us some advice there?
Yes, well, finding out about them is really easy. People just need to sign up for our newsletter and just go to our website, artcentermelbourne.com.au, and we will send you heaps of information about what we're planning, what's coming up, what will be free and what's ticketed, and all of your questions about how you might access what we're doing, and if you need any special information in relation to our COVID-safe activities. In terms of what the content will be, we've got a real emphasis on breadth and variety of performing arts. You've already mentioned that we want to make sure we're delivering projects for families and children because we have a really high quality program there, and we want to make sure that we can continue that from the beginning of next year. We will also be looking at all ages concerts at the bowl, daytime and nighttime concerts, and real sense of genre diversity. So we're interested in contemporary music to classical music. We're going to see the return of the Australian Music Vault sessions, which was a really successful project that we did on our Digital Together With You program. So we're going to see a live and hybrid digital version of that return. There's a really big comedy series that we're working on for the bowl as well, a number of First Nations programs which we're really proud of, and performances from some of our most cherished resident companies, which will include the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra and Opera Australia. As you've already said, this is going to have a huge impact on arts workers, providing a number of opportunities for both arts workers and creatives. So we're really excited about that, and also excited about what we still don't yet know about, because we haven't actually finished programming for the beginning of next year. So, Melanie, people are very keen to know, when will we be able to get back into the theatres?
Yes, I think we've all got that question. We're planning to return to in-venue performance the first half of 2021. So I've mentioned the bowl will be the focus for summer, but we just need to abide by the government restrictions. We'll be guided by our fundamental commitment to the safety of our team and everyone who enters our building. So we will be awaiting the latest health advice from government, but at this stage, we're looking at the first half of 2021. This will ultimately determine the timing of the in-theatre performance and the capacity for welcoming audiences back to our venues. So we'll probably likely start small and ramp up activity, constantly testing our approach to return artists, presenters and audiences, and just take learnings as we reopen slowly. We do have some plans to look at entertainment in some of the smaller venues. However, it will be reliant on what we're allowed to do at the time, but we're all amping to get back in and get artists on stage and audiences into our venues.
I know, Mel. Imagine when we will actually be able to sit next to each other in a theatre, which we haven't done since Asiatopa in March.
Yes, it's very strange to do everything online at the moment, but we're on the right path to recovery. We are able to get up to 92 people in the Fairfax, I believe, because it's 25%. So we may even open up the venues to artists and broadcast. We do have some plans in place, but we just need to regroup now that we know what the new restrictions are and see what can be possible. But we are inching towards reopening for the community and our audiences.
Yeah, and we have also discussed the possibility that when our venues aren't able to be used for significant audiences and might be dark, that artists or companies may use the space within the number gathering restrictions just to rehearse or to bring the sector back together. And in that way, we feel like we're activating the Arts Centre as a hub for artists again.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we shouldn't forget the outdoor venues, our cafe, The Protagonist. We're looking at having some live and local entertainment at The Protagonist, and also seeing how we might be able to activate the lawn between Hamer Hall and the Arts Centre Melbourne Theatre building, just to have a place where people can sit and socialise and be back together again. Okay. Edwina, there's another question here about an audience member wanting to understand how they'll be able to get to the theatre. They've really enjoyed watching shows online, and they're just wondering, will we still be showing these after we reopen?
Oh, Mel, this is a really great opportunity for me to talk about our Together With You digital program and how wonderful it's been for us as an organisation, but also for our audiences. Because we've really taken what we didn't have much of, which was a digital program, and developed something that has had so much impact for both artists and audiences that we don't want to let it go. We've reached more than 16 million people in the Together With You online program. And had we thought about that in March or April of this year, we would not have thought that that was possible. So that obviously also goes to show the impact that that program has had both on artists and producers, and providing opportunities for them to continue to make work and adapt work. When we set the Together With You program up, we were really conscious of making sure that we were investing in the sector. So our entire budget that we developed for that was 90% spent on recovery. And so 90% went to artists and creatives, which I think we're all particularly proud of. What I really noticed was how generous the creative sector was. That was enormously heartening to get the feedback from artists and that incredible interest in wanting to adapt and wanting to do work online, when traditionally it's been a format that live or performing arts has not been considered to be great for it or very high quality. So we've really flipped that and changed that attitude. And what we've also discovered is by reaching so many different people, and people who either for geographical reasons or for their own physical accessible reasons can't make their way into the theatre or come to venues, that we can actually take it into their homes and it still has a really high level of production values and creative content. So we're not going to let that go. We're not ditching the digital by any means.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that it has totally expanded our accessibility to people, as you say, geographically living in the regions or perhaps not able to come into the theatres building or not wanting to either. I mean, some people want to be able to sit on the couch with the popcorn and watch a concert. So I'm excited about the opportunity of expanding and growing and diversifying our audiences through the digital platform. And I'm also really interested in the idea of going from the hybrid model of live into online and what that will look like. It may develop a whole new possibility of how people and artists work together.
Yeah, we really improved our competency in that digital area, didn't we? And also expanded our minds on what's possible and how you might change, how you might work with, virtual reality and screen content and participation with audiences. And I think audiences really responded. They're up for it.
Yeah, and our evolution of how we want to be into the future, there is definitely a focus on digital, AI, VR, new ways of people experiencing theatre, and we definitely focusing on how we can grow that, and also it'll be a learning. I mean, technology changes so quickly. It's going to be fantastic to see what is possible in the years ahead. I'm really excited about that opportunity.
Well, actually, that links very nicely to one of the last questions, which was, is there anything that you've learnt during this time which will change the way you think about and program the performing arts in the future, which is, sort of what we've already been talking about, that digital and hybrid content is, will be part of our future. It wasn't just a COVID-19 anomaly. It's actually something that will be very much part of how and what we program.
I think also listening to what audiences want more. Like, it's been a real experience to evolve our digital platform, but we've also been quite insights-led about what audiences are interested in, what they want to see, what they don't want to see. So again, there's a whole lot of work that we can do to actually understand the customer and what they would like to see into the future. And I do know that we are working to establish some more forums, workshops, questionnaires to actually get to the bottom of what people want in this new world.
Yeah, we've definitely become really alert to the fragility of the sector, and there's real concern for the future generation. And I think that's, from my perspective, I feel really privileged that I was able to choose a career and a life in the arts. And I'm concerned about the current generation and the younger generations that will be discouraged from choosing the arts or creativity as a career, whether that's on the stage, behind the scenes, or anything of those, any kinds of creative arts will not be considered a reasonable career choice for a little while. And I think that'll have huge impact for our sector. So anything that we can do to continue to create opportunities for emerging artists and young people to see this as a future opportunity will be great.
And I think that's part of the role with philanthropy and us as a leading performing arts centre in Australasia, is that we we have the capability and the resource and the technical expertise to help bring these young artists on the journey. And we just need to be there to support emerging artists and offer them a platform to be able to develop their work in a safe environment. And, in the end, there'd be nothing greater than seeing, a large-scale Australian story on the State Theatre stage. That's the aspiration.
Yeah, I guess that's the great thing, that's what's come out of this is a really good local focus, whether that we're thinking about Melbourne, Victorian or Australian artists and companies. The whole nation is really prioritising how we support and look after our creative industries.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think, COVID has obviously been devastating, but it actually has forced a number of organisations and institutions to work more collaboratively together, to look at real meaningful partnerships where all parties can bring their best to the table. And who knows what's going to be possible. But I think in a time like this, you need to be together as a sector and support one another. And as I said, the Arts Centre's got amazing facilities, amazing resources and expertise, and we just want to be able to take that leadership role and work with the sector to create something hopefully beautiful and sustainable into the future.
That's lovely.
I think the other thing with COVID is that we, as an organisation, have been really reflecting on what our role is within the industry. It's time to review our core purpose. As a publicly funded institution, we really do need to, I guess, sit down and revisit what we are and what we're providing to community and what the need is for community in the sector right now. So we are working through a transformation project. We've got our listening ears on, and we are definitely hearing some amazing themes come through around potentially how we can lead the sector back to recovery and how we may work differently. And that involves, being inclusive, accessible, providing diversity, and also having events on our stages that represent the community that Melbourne now is.
And they're all really important priorities that we have put at the front of our content and commissioning priorities for, at least the last 5 to 10 years. But that's the concern, isn't it? Is that the impact, the long-term impact of COVID-19 will mean a reduction in the advances that we've made in terms of diversity on our stages, thinking about making sure we're addressing diversity in our audiences, and we're thinking about access and inclusion and participation. So that's the stuff that we don't want to lose, and we want to make sure we can keep investing in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Won't it be great when we can actually be working together in the same building, in the same space, and maybe even see a show together? Any opening night or any time we're actually sitting in a theatre and the lights go down, I will never take it for granted that this is a special and precious thing that we are now allowed to do again.
And it's a great privilege to be a part of it.
Well, I'll see you on the other side.
Okay, see you.